What's up, guys? It's JK here. Are you feeling lost in whatever you're trying to pursue today? Maybe it's a career, maybe it's making your hobby into a full-time gig, maybe you want to get better at playing guitar, or maybe you just want to be an artist or a YouTube content creator. Well, you know what? I feel the same way in my journey right now. I feel like my channel is not getting anywhere, and I feel like I have no sense of direction. So you know what? Let me go back into the very beginning. In this video, I'm going to be going into my whole musical journey from start to finish, and hopefully that will get some clarity and make you guys motivated to stay on your path and realize that there's other people out there that feel the same way and that this is just part of the process. A lot of questions are coming through, am I a producer? Am I a songwriter? What content should I make? I know I want to do something in music, but what do I want to do? Those are the kinds of questions that I have been pondering my whole life. And to get a deeper clarity on me specifically, let's go back to the very beginning on how I started this journey. The earliest memory I have of music would be my dad taking me to school, asking me, oh, do you want to listen to John Lennon or Paul McCartney? And I would choose who to listen to. And I remember waking up early in the mornings and my mom is singing songs, singing like Whitney Houston, Diana Ross, and Mariah Carey songs. And she would always encourage us to sing because she liked karaoke, being in a Filipino household. But me actually doing music, I think actually before I even picked up an instrument, there was this guy that would beatbox in class. I think I had a really good ear as a kid because I would mimic stuff. I would mimic accents, I would mimic sounds, I would do animal sounds. And I think beatboxing was another thing too. It's I would mimic the drum sounds, the bass sounds. I wouldn't even try to sing a song. I would just try to do the boom, 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 and then I started doing that in class, and this guy who I sat next to in class was beatboxing, and I took that as a competitive thing, and I'd be like, okay, well, you could do that, well, watch me do this, and I would try to make as many sounds as possible. I started doing the I'd do a bass line with the, and then I would try to do these little beatbox battles in class, and that I think was my first foray into music. Yeah, I think it was maybe second grade or first grade. I wanted to join the band because I saw the band play at a, assembly or whatever you call it at school. And the band leader, the teacher, she was like, oh, here's some instruments. We need some new players and stuff. And I really liked the way the saxophone was. I thought the saxophone was so cool. I think it was the alto. Yeah, the alto saxophone. I was like, damn, that instrument's so cool. And there was only one saxophone player in the band. And I was like, man, I want to be that one guy, with the saxophone. Then I told my parents about it. I went home. I was like, yeah, I really want to join the band. And they were like, oh, saxophone's too expensive. Pick another instrument. And so I picked the flute. And then I learned how to read sheet music. I was classically trained, in a band. Learned how to sight read, count, melody, rhythm, playing in a band, an orchestra, doing recitals. And eventually I got sick of the tedious practice and the cumbersome exercises of scales every day, and I just got bored of it. I was a 8, 9, 10-year-old that was wanting to actually make music that I liked, so I thought maybe I should start the piano because you could play chords and you could sing over it or whatever. And so then I started playing the piano, and then once again my parents wanted to help me out, so they got me a teacher, and they did the same practice regimen as I did with flute. It was play all this classical music, learn how to read sheet music, learn how to sight read, and it was that whole thing all over again. And so then I was like, well, this isn't really what I want to do. So then I picked up the guitar. I got a handy-down guitar from one of my cousins, and I started playing like power chords, like Green Day's Basket Case, and eventually got bored of that. And I was like, well, I want to make actual music. I want to produce. I don't want to just play other people's songs. So I would steal my dad's laptop and I downloaded a pirated version of FL Studio, because that is what Soulja Boy used to make Crank That. When I saw an interview of him, he was talking about how he used a free version of FL Studio to make that beat, and I thought that was so cool. So yeah, I really got into EDM, and I got into house music, and I got into like dubstep. So I started like remaking all kinds of songs, spending hours, many hours. Like it was like my PlayStation. I was on that computer for so long, making beats, remaking beats, trying to find out how to make the new sound that Skrillex had in whatever song it was, like Bangarang or Cinema, and trying to copy how do I get that growl sound? And I would try to do it in my DAW. I was getting a lot of feedback from my friends, and they were telling me I was talented, and I would play these songs. I would slip in my remixes in between at house parties and fraternity parties, and all throughout college I would do this, and then they'd be like, oh, what was that? I was like, oh, and I'd be so happy that they'd ask like, what remix was that? And I'll be like, oh, it's my remix. And they're like, oh, what, you made that? And so I was like super elated that everybody, liked my music. And so that just incentivized me even more to pursue DJing. I mean, I never really DJed at clubs or anything, but it was just like a hobby that I had, or a fantasy that I had of me like making one remix that was going to, change the world and rank up on Beatport. And then it was all over everywhere, and I was going to be a touring DJ around the world. And it consumed me so much that college took a backseat. Like I was spending late hours into the night, staying up all night making music, and to the point where I would miss my final. Until this day, like I still wake up sometimes in a nightmare, that I'm missing a class, or I forgot a homework assignment because I overslept and it was due that day, and I wake up like, oh shit, and then realize that, oh wait, I haven't been to college in like 5-7 years. And then eventually I got into going to festivals like EDC and all the LED events local to San Diego, and then Mad Decent Block Party, etc., Dream State, whatever, you name it. I went to every single festival around Southern California and Vegas. And eventually I got burned out of that music. So I got a job after a whole year of doing Uber and going to raves and festivals. I eventually got sick of that. And then I got a job delivering pizzas, and I just cut out all the EDM and stopped listening to it. And I started listening to other stuff. I started gravitating towards more like hip hop and, darker stuff, more mellow, like The Weeknd, like synthwave stuff, and like Travis Scott. So I wanted to start producing and selling type beats. So I got into selling type beats on the internet, and then I still didn't get the same feeling of performing as a DJ. So I started posting videos of me making beats, but not just, making the beat and sitting around and clicking. I started performing the piano parts, playing them, playing the melody part, playing the bass part in front of a camera. That was when I shifted my whole production aspect away from the EDM, entirely clicking in stuff, DAW, mousing around in the DAW. Like I just was like, what, I'm not gonna do any of that. I'm just gonna do instruments. I'm gonna play everything in with the piano or guitar. And yeah, that's when I decided to make that change, and I'll never look back. kind of shifting away from being a producer, and I don't know if it's just because I have a habit of getting bored of things and just, you know, putting it down. And I've always sang. I've always been singing, like singing songs here and there, and I've recorded myself a couple of times, and I've wrote lyrics before, but I never really tried to, you know, actually make songs for myself, like make beats, make lyrics for myself, and try and be an actual artist. And I feel like right now is it's my calling. It's like maybe this is exactly what I've wanted for so long. There's still things that I want to say and do that I can't with just sound alone, and that's why I'm actually just going to be like, you know what? I'm just going to try and be an artist, because that's like the epitome of musical expression, is being able to sing rap over music. With all due respect, I mean, instrumentalists and virtuosos, like, I really respect their dedication to the craft. But I'm not trying to be an instrumentalist. I'm not trying to be a virtuoso. I'm not trying to be the best producer in the world. I'm simply just trying to express my opinions, my ideas, my feelings, and just putting it out there, because I've never had this much fulfillment in my life. No matter how many times people have told me I'm a good DJ or that my remixes were good, and how many views I got on YouTube for my remixes, or type beats, or other rappers wanting to be on my beats, telling me I'm a good producer. Nothing beats me sitting in front of my computer and like thinking of something, feeling it, and just speaking it, rapping or singing it in a musical context, and having people hear that and feeling that I was able to express myself through this art form effectively. There's no other feeling in the world that I get. And I don't know why it took me so long to realize this. The theme of this video was not having direction. I felt like I've never had direction. I still don't feel like I have a direction, but I know I'm going in the general. I have the North Star, and I'm traversing through the valley, and I know I'm going to end up somewhere. But as long as I go north, somewhere forward, I know I'm going to end up somewhere. And looking back on where I came from and all these experiences, I've learned so much. I've learned how to like produce. I know how to do sound design. I know how to play piano. I know how to play guitar. I know how to like sing. I know how to do all these things. And I can go in any direction I want now. I can just exclusively be a producer. I can play in a band, which is my next goal. Still trying to find out what my sound is, what genre of music I want to do. So I'm just producing literally anything that's on my mind. And hopefully, you know, the more I do it, the more hours I put in, the more songs that I write, the better idea or the more clarity I'll have on what I want to do when it comes to music, or how I want to express myself, or what my sound is. To sum it up for this episode of Monday Motivation, I know I'm a little late. You guys are going to be seeing this on Wednesday. Is to keep moving forward, you know, cross everything off the bucket list. Do all the things that you wanted to do and go all out as much as possible. Just do it. Because if you wait around, you're not going to get anywhere. You're going to be stuck spinning your wheels, and you're going to feel like you have no sense of direction. So what I'm doing right now, posting, I don't know what to post. I don't know what music to make, but if I just work on the craft, it's eventually going to lead me somewhere. All right, guys. So that sums up for the end of the video today. Make sure you subscribe for more vlogs and beat making videos and more stories about my life. All right, guys. Peace out. make sure you subscribe. I'm watching you.